Greetings, Batprince here, and today we are playing the Executioner. Dum dum dum. This game encourages you to make choices. Remember, none of them will be wrong, but each carries consequences. You can always change your mind, but it may cost you. When I raise this sword, so I wish you eternal life.
Times and places have invented plenty of ways to wreck the bodies and break the spirits of their fellow men. All these ways have something in common. The Executioner. The man performing these terrible acts and turning people into wretched parodies of themselves. This is a story of one executioner. My story.
Dead. Alright, so this is my story. I'm the Executioner. There's chaos up here, apparently. Worldview. I got 50 monies. That says... Oh no, it's in another language. Quick, settings. Language English. Oh man, I don't know what any of this says. Aww. Let's just click on things until something happens, right? I got 50 money. Got no time. I'm gonna go to the Executioner's house. Because you can't see that it says that, right? Here. I can't go to the Executioner's house. That's where I am already, because that's why this little red guy's here. That's me, that's the Executioner. Let's go to the Royal Palace. Today, the palace looks gloomy and frightening in the fog. Dun 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 dun. I did it! Oh, why is the text in Russian instead of English like everything else? Glossary, cases, inventory, character. Oh no, I don't know which is yes or no and what it even means. Oh, don't tell me I got a... Oh dude, this is a reading game and I can't read any of it because it's in another language. Let's go to the royal prison. The iron grating on the dark throat of the prison looks like it's carved in a rock. It seems to be a safe place to you. Now it's a deadly trap. I'm up to day 2. Glossary, characters, profession. Everything is in English except for the bits that matter. Okay, cases. Father has been charged with treason. He did not say anything in his defense during the trial and was sentenced to death by beheading. Suspect the father. Clues. You heard and remembered the voice of the accuser. He said that the father was guilty of treason and was lying. I still have nothing in my inventory or my character. That's fine. Continue with the day. Oh man. This isn't good. I can't do this. Maybe if I change it to Polsk, then change it back to English. I did it! That's how you do it! I figured it out! If you get stuck with the bug that makes it so the diary is in another language, just change it to that language and then back again and... Right. Now, I've ruined my game already because I got no stamina, but we'll start from here. The short summer night burns with the dawn. You feel agitated standing near the prison entrance, trying to figure out how to get inside. By the time dawn comes, you've exhausted yourself. It's a shame your father had forced such reverence to the crown within you. If not for fear of breaking the law, you could have easily snuck into the prison and freed your father before any guards knew about it. But in the morning, when the dawn comes... Hey, there's a conflict. Oh, thank gosh. Thank gosh we got tutorials after I changed the language back to English. When the dawn comes, a crowd of onlookers surrounds the prison. Guards shout to repel the most curious ones from the gates, but suddenly the crowd roars and closes around the prison entrance. The convicted executioner is being escorted outside. You make your way through the crowd to catch a sight of your father, who is strangely stooped and haggard, as if he has lost half of his bulk in one day. Two guards push you aside with the shafts of their spears. "Son of a traitor," one of them conceptually says. "Move away and don't interfere with royal justice, or you will join your father on the scaffold." Unable to stop yourself, you take a step forward and the guards back off. You suddenly realize they are scared of you, even when unarmed. Your huge frame and strong arms look even more impressive at a distance. The guards are afraid for a reason. You could try to rescue your father, however. Assaulting the royal guards could lead to dire consequences. Most likely outcome is that you being executed as well. But even the prospect of ending up in prison frightens you. Throughout the kingdom's history, too few have made their way home after imprisonment, instead of on the scaffold. Investigated the city riots to blame ruling monarch and paint him as a bloodthirsty killer, but your father said that it had always been this way. You see him shaking his head from behind the guards and looking away again. He obviously doesn't want you to risk everything for him. So I get to step back if I want to and let my father die. Or we can break through to my father, which is actually a tutorial. So that's a good choice, I think. Alright, the tutorial. At the beginning of the conflict, you assess the situation and mentally articulate your goals in confrontation. So, mentally articulating, we have a bunch of guards, escalation penalty of 10. 6 guards, led by a sergeant, lined up between you and the father. You often saw this grey-haired man in the royal prison. For many years, he worked alongside the father. You know that he is extremely proud of his ability to handle him. The guards are trained to fight together. They will easily disperse the crowd of drunks or troublemakers, but will they have time to stop you in your desperate dash to the father? Okay, my objectives are I need to reach my father, talk to him, and take what he wants to Iv. Continue. There are 4 ways to resolve the conflict. By yourself, you have access to only 3. People are staying away from the executioners, and persuasion is not your strong suit. So persuasion is a bad idea, but we could intimidate them. It's got a triumph of 7%, success of 20, fail of 80. This one using force, fail of 50. Using a weapon, fail of 45. Do I have a weapon? The right equipment adds to the chances of success. If you had your father's axe, it would be much easier to intimidate or attack. But I don't. There's no equipment over here. Under my face, there's a stats thing and utility belt. Where does he get all his wonderful toys? Okay, so it is possible for enemies to resist your attack, but you can easily understand what they are least prepared for. Them. Alright, they are least prepared, minus 15 for me to just go up and punch him in the face. Each of your actions in the conflict has 3 possible outcomes. Triumph, success, and failure. You can easily calculate the possibilities. These numbers in your head sound like the cries of enemies. Ah! You can always raise the stakes and take the conflict to the next level. But while it's easy to flare up with rage, it's not easy to extinguish it. You can't easily calm down and try to intimidate those you've already raised your hand on. Oh, so, how many tries do we get then? Opponents use any hitch of yours. If you decide to raise the stakes, a new attempt to win will have less chance of success or triumph. So if I go persuade, intimidate, use force, use weapon, you use weapons, fail rate will go up. But if I just go straight to weapon, the fail rate will stay where it is. Raise the stakes. Continue. Escalation penalty 10. If you don't want to fight the guards seriously, so the obvious option is to scare them, show them you're willing to do anything to get to your father. No, I want to use force. Alright, we're going to intimidate. Choose a method. Method isn't available. I failed! The moment before you start moving, your instinct tells you how it will end, in failure. This partly is a game of chance, partly the result of preparation, yours and your opponent's. Fate throws dice and delivers its verdict. You find that the fear of such a formidable opponent as you will not prevent the guards from executing their order. If you try to break through to your father, in the end you will be pushed aside by halberds like a beast. Like a wild beast. Your keen senses tell you that the outcome of the chosen action will be, but the prediction does not have to be true. You can reconsider. Usually the failure can also be an acceptable outcome. After all, conflict is not the only way to achieve a goal, but today, a special case, you need to fight to the end. For your father's sake, in any other case, you will have a choice. To accept this option, or try to escalate the conflict, increasing the risks. Acting by force or attacking enemies with a weapon in your hand means your health after a sleepless night. You have almost no strength. If your stamina fails, you will get a wound which you would easily avoid under the normal conditions. You have a pouch of golden root with you, which you hoped to give your father. It will instantly restore your strength and give you the opportunity to continue the fight. Okay, I'll use it. Blood begins to run faster through the veins, rushing to the head, forcing the heart to beat a ribcage more frequently. If you feel like you've just woken up, despite the fog of rage still enveloping your head. Now you are ready to fight. Raise the stakes. Haha! Unstoppable evil rises inside you. You could have attacked them with their weapons or knocked them with your bare hands from the beginning, but you wanted to persuade them without bloodshed. Well, it seems the cruelest methods are the most effective. We're using force. Fate once again makes a move. Any accidents may interfere with a correct step, or on the contrary, make a successful, almost hopeless attempt. Time. Fate gives you success. Success! Success! Continue. Alright, so now I can act. Now you have a choice. Agree with the outcome, successful, but not ideal, or try again to charge the guards and take away a weapon from them, and let the blood be shed. Oh, now I get the choice. Can I just try and steal one of their weapons, or run without a weapon? I want to try and get a weapon. If you are ready to reach for the weapon, regardless of consequences, you should do it immediately. If you first decide to intimidate, then change your mind to battle, you will have less chances to win. The enemy will notice the hesitation and use it. You will have a better chance with a weapon, but you're not risking stamina anymore, but with health. The guards will respond to threat accordingly, and the wounds won't heal in one day, even though the choice is yours. No, let's go for it. Success! When you take up arms, someone dies. This is a hard test for the mind. Besides, your surviving opponents will surely remember this. You know better if your goals are worth it. Time to get off easy, but the other conflicts end in your death. Act! Alright, I murdered some people. Ha! You grab the two nearest halberds under the edge and pull them towards you. Their owners crumble under your feet. You send the halberd forward, and the shaft is painted sticky and salty. You release the second halberd, grab its master by the neck, settling him down on the pavement. The others are knocking onto a wall between you and your father. They are as grim as graveyard crows. The blades of their halberd look at you like hunting bats. You stubbornly rush forward. One tip penetrates right through the shoulder. You beat back with your fist. The guard falls back with a broken neck. Another blade you catch clean in your fist, not paying attention to the purple pain pouring from the wound. In horror, its owner releases the pole and runs. Without waiting for the rest to come to their senses, you rush to your father, take hold of his shackles. The chain links begin to break, but the father holds your hands and suddenly smiles. Son, he says, I want you to take an axe. For the first time in your life, you hear the feeling in the voice of your father. He's saying something especially important. So if I want to skip all the reading, we can just look at the purple bits to see what our next thing is. Purple bits are cool. You shudder with all of your body from sincerity and a strange wrongness of his words. Stunned by the strength of his quiet voice, you involuntarily step back, but at the last moment he managed to shove a small bundle in your hands. The moment is lost. You dodge the first strike of a halberd and run away. Looking back over your shoulder, you see how the sergeant, still standing next to your father, raises his gun, but for some reason he does not pull the trigger. He shakes his head and bellows at the guards who are chasing you. Assume formation around the prisoner and pick up the pace. This one, he lowers his gun, isn't going anywhere. Go! The chase stops. Gritting their teeth, the guards obey. The sergeant pulls the chain, holds the father, and they leave. Finish the conflict. You helplessly see the squad marching towards the execution place. Then you go away, pushing the onlookers. On the stinky alley behind the prison, you try to catch your breath and cast aside the thought that breaking your father out of prison at night would have been easier. To distract yourself, you unroll the package that your father has given you. Inside there is an old book with a dark cover, his diary. Let's examine that diary. A massive book. In a simple but sturdy binding, some rugged material is filled with your father's writings. The margins of the pages are decorated with some strange ornaments, as if your father was scrambling incarnate patterns while he was lost in thought. He spoke of this book, he called it the work of his life. The difference between me and my precursors, and suffering turned into science. The book is memorizing. It feels alive, as if absorbed the suffering and the deaths of the unlucky ones whose pain the book was written on. Father treasured this book. Yet you were to choose one memento to keep of him. Most likely it would not have been taken, this symbol of his work. Your examination is interrupted by trombones of the city heralds. With a startled jump, you rush to the place of execution. To the map! To the palace square. Following the sound of trumpets, you find yourself in the palace square, the main and oldest part of the city. Shadow of the castle hills falling on it from one side, and the other is overshadowed by the Angel's Chapel. Alright. What do I have in my inventory? I have my father's diary. It's a quest item. Can't get rid of that. Nothing in my cards. Cases. We're doing some stuff. Glossary. Character. Can't really change anything right now. Diary. Following the sound of trombones, you find yourself at the palace square, where it is impossible to take a breath due to the number of people gathered here. Rumblings of excitement from the hungry crowd, combined with offensive shouts towards the convict avenue. People are looking forward to the execution, already sensing the blood. They step away from you in disgust, and it becomes surprisingly easy to walk through such a dense crowd. You notice the guards pushing away the onlookers, making their way towards you. They have red feathers on their helmets, the king's personal guards. One of them points his spear at you, as if you were some kind of dangerous animal, and grimly tells you to follow him. It was the same way so many times before. You used to come to the palace square, walk through the crowd to the scaffold, and stand next to your father to witness one more moment of suffering and terror. You would watch as another criminal left this earth, feeling the response of the crowd and echo a stone falling into the deepest well. The stones of the palace square repeat the rhythm of your steps. They remind you of the first time you saw an execution. Do you hear? Do you remember, little one? They whisper. What do you feel when there is blood on your father's axe and death before your eyes? It seems that you have to answer them. It's just a memory, an imagination, or, yes, it was something peculiar. Yes, it was always something peculiar. Worldview -1. Okay, I did something bad. Oops. The guards lose their place and look back at you, murmuring the words. They say nothing. Ascend the scaffold. You ascend the platform that is set up in the middle of the square. Tents are erected to protect the royal officials from the heat, with comfortable breeches inside a wooden throne for the king. Escorted by the guards, you make your way through the most famous people in the city. One of them turns to you and recoils in disgust. Others squeamishly pick up their hems of their ceremonial dresses. You overhear someone's conversation. Just throw them a bone and there'll be no reason to fear their sharp teeth. They roar and rage until they sense a strong hand. Don't look down, don't show fear, and the beast will not touch you. Fear? Don't be ridiculous. His Royal Highness is as right as ever. Spill a bit of blood and the plebs will wag their tails. Servants step away as you see the throne. Your assistant is already kneeling before it. His thin grey hair stuck to the back of his head, his skin covered in a restless sweat. Sharp spears poke your sides, threatening to pierce the old leather of your jacket. Kneel before the king. It's the king there. Looks like a jerk. But they're going to kill my servant because I killed a bunch of guards, huh? The king is neither young nor attractive. He is not as tall as your father or as strong as you. However, his proud posture makes his shoulders look wider than they are, and his sharp grey eyes seem to pierce right through you. He is wearing a heavy cloak with rich fur fringe, and he seems unfazed by the heat, which seems to loom over him like a second crown, never touching nor burning him. One sparing gesture and the respectful silence reigns over the platform. Everybody seems to be holding their breath, and you can no longer distinguish the roaring of the crowd from the blood pounding in your ears. Your family, young man, has served our honorable ancestors for generations. Sadly, the recent events have disturbed the order of things. Your father became a traitor. Now the crown is in need of a new royal executioner. According to tradition, this title falls on you. However, by our mercy, we are prepared to let go of this tradition and offer an alternative. You may either assume your duties as the executioner tomorrow, or refuse your family's benefits. The choice is yours. The rotten wound of the words in the king's speech seems red and black. Decide. You don't lower your eyes in front of the king, out of habit rather than disrespect, and you notice his red lips pull into a smile. If I say accept, I can work on them from the inside, rather than being refused and having to run away from the city and hide in squalor, right? Yeah, we can always say that we're going to do something, but then maybe not. As the law commands, that's all you can utter. Feeling an iron hand squeeze your throat. Across the town square, you see the king smile. You are doing exactly what he wants. Our mercy to you knows no bounds today, young man. We have no wish to break this tradition. You may become the executioner and prove your skill and loyalty to us. As it happens, you have your work cut out for you. I mean, I killed a bunch of guards. I guess that's okay. Bitterness fills your mouth. Son, listen, I want you to take this axe. You remember your father's words. He reminded you about the tradition himself. The black handle of the father's axe appears before your eyes. You take a rugged breath and hear a sniff of contempt. The assistant walks away, his eyes burning with vile glee. He didn't get his way, but it seems that watching you suffer brings him perverted joy. I will take up the axe and chop your heads off.
My father, he will be executed by the assistant. But the old man is weak and cannot finish it with one precise blow. The execution will be dirty and painful unless I do it myself.
The execution will be dirty and painful. So, I am the executioner, and my first job is my own father. I could get my servant to do it, but that would cause my father suffering, and it would take more than one chop. I, if by strong will can kill my own father, he will be spared the suffering. And I think yes. As the executioner, it is my job to do such things.
I'm trying to catch Father's eyes, but he's standing with his head down, and from below, thousands of greedy eyes stare up at me. I can't show fear. The crowd, this predator, they will smell it. Last words I say with a voice that does not sound like my own. Father only shakes his head silently, and the assistant pushes him to his knees. I lift my axe over his pale neck, and then my father smiles, as if I have learned my lesson correctly. Through the roar of the crowd, I can hear him whispering, "The beast."
Alright, time to do it. The axe is going down. I'm going to execute my father. Goodbye, father!
Father's head rolls to the edge of the scaffold. I walk along a warm, bloody trail and lift it up by the hair. It's tradition. The criminal must see how the people accept his death. The eager screams almost knock me down. I step back, and suddenly I look at the dead eyes of my father. And that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. The whirlpool of nightmares drags me into the dark. the smell of the shade, the taste of the raw earth, the unfamiliar voice that pulls a strange song without words. The priest's prayer stinks of scorching, and the song soars and shines like hot metal. Then I hear the voice of my father. You must feed the beast.
Scene end. Well, cool. That is hardcore. The world comes back. You are standing holding an axe in one hand and a head in the other. The royal official's platform has emptied. The king is nowhere to be seen. The crowd dissipates, rain falling on the scaffold and the square around it. Cold drops are rolling down your neck and face, washing away the sweat and the tears. Well, that is some grim, darky, grim dark. And it's beautiful. I love it. But that's for today. Farewell.